The women's movement in Nevada was extraordinary in the sense that there was a woman who has since passed on who was an incredible leader and incredibly active. Her name was Maya Miller, and she was a great funder. There were others, of course. I mean, and you could name the history. I mean, Jean Ford, Jan Evans, Mary Frazzini. I mean, you know, there was just a whole group of wonderful women from all walks of life and all political parties who sort of came together. And there was, of course, the state conference that was the prelude to the National Conference on Women that I played an active role in. Maya, as I recall, was the chair, if I'm not mistaken, of that. But that gave us, again, an opportunity for all parts of the state to come together, to know one another, to work together, which I think led to some other initiatives, if you will. In the late 70s, in the mid to late 70s, there began to be discussions on all kinds of different fronts, and the state conference that was a prelude to the national conference. And the national conference was, of course, the purpose was to bring together people from all over the country. The ERA, the Equal Rights Amendment movement, had begun, because I remember at the national conference there were a lot of Stop ERA folks. And of course what you wished is we could get beyond those issues that we disagreed on to issues that we could agree on, because there's so many issues in those days in particular that we could agree upon. And so the state conference took place, and then we got a delegation of us that got to go to Houston. And Houston was amazing. It was amazing to see all the former First Ladies together up on the stage. It was amazing for me because I got to meet Margaret Mead and get her autograph in the book Blackberry Winter. But it was just an amazing time, a very exciting time to talk about these things. But I must tell you one other story, because I think it's important. One time I went to Fallon to debate then State Senator Carl Dodge on the Equal Rights Amendment. And so we both got to speak, and at the end, Cicely Jacobson's father, who was a Hasidic Jew with a long gray beard and the black hat, and he raised his hand and he said, "With all due respect, Carl, the arguments that you were using against the Equal Rights Amendment are the arguments that I heard as a young man against giving women the right to vote." And it was that exchange that absolutely brought down the House. We weren't successful, of course, we were very close with the Equal Rights Amendment. But I think that, again, those types of activities created a bond between activists, women all over the state. That bond still exists today. I mean, those of us who've been engaged for a long time tend to know one another. If you get a phone call, you know, you would take that phone call, you would do whatever you could to help. And I think it's really important because we've got so much of our population in one part of the state, and yet we've got a lot of challenges in others, but in the end, I think we all benefit. The more that we can work together and cooperate and communicate and collaborate, I think that, and that's one of the things I teach in my public policy classes, the value of coalitions. And certainly all of these things were really important coalitions.